Hey everyone. Earlier this week, I posted about how your $1 million or whatever number size business is not worth what you think it is. And I'm going to walk through today how that works with using as few numbers as possible. And it also describes the importance of a management team and having a general manager, the importance of prepping your business for sale, and a very common conflict between buyers and sellers and why that happens and what you can do to avoid it. So, one of the biggest disconnects to start between pricing between a seller and a buyer is suppose a seller, so your business worth so much, like let's just say this is net income, right? And I'm going to try to do this with as few numbers as possible. A buyer is going to look at that, and if you don't have a manager, they're going to say, I'm going to take on some risk from not knowing everything to begin with. So I'm going to give it a little haircut, right? So this is the haircut area. And then I'm also going to hire in a manager because I want to be able to grow, do other things with the business, and I need someone to help me do that. So the buyer's going to say, then I got to take this much off to put in a manager. So already the buyer's going to say, this is how much it's worth to me as a buyer. Same numbers, but the numbers work differently for me as a new person. So now take, we're doing like multiples on net income to help us figure out a price. Say it's just 2x to 3x as being that multiplier, the multiplier range. So in this case, the buyer's going to say it's worth this much to me. There's no management, the owner, you do so much, so I can only count on maybe 2x of that income. That's what I can rely on, that's how I want to price it. So that's where now you're maybe not as satisfied as what you thought, because maybe you thought oh, I have this much and it's going to be 3 times that in terms of value. So that's where you start to get a disconnect. But watch what happens when you have a management team in place and you kind of have thought about that ahead of time. So let's kind of get rid of this, right? And let's go back again. So the seller makes net income of this. And notice it's a little bit smaller than before because you put in the money to hire in a manager. You have these systems in place and it's a more mature, more sophisticated business now. The buyer's going to look at that and be like, okay, it's self-sustaining. I can't really justify giving it a haircut because it's going to operate exactly the same tomorrow as it does today. And it has a manager in place, so I don't have to, cut out there to hire somebody. So this is it. This is what it's worth. And now it's more mature because of those things, and it feels more stable and more reliable. So now we're getting closer to this 3x. And so the buyer's also going to look at it and be like, yep, that's the net income that it brings in. And you're right, it is more sophisticated. So I am going to say, yeah, 3 years, I can see that net income coming in like that. Now this is worth more, right? You were smaller over here, but now you're bigger over here because you've taken advantage of that kind of multiple arbitrage. So that's how the disconnect between buyer and seller works. And that's why hiring a general manager ahead of time is really important, and really thinking about the sophistication of your business is being really important. And if you're ready to hire a GM, or you're ready to sell your business, reach out to me, Joe at Legacy Entrepreneurs. We'll talk about your business, what's right for you, and how we can either get your business sold or start building that management team so that when you're ready to sell, you're taking advantage of this. But now